Hey everyone, you missed me? So I have been home for 25 days now. Um, it's been great to see my family and my kitties and get off my feet and actually get some sleep, but I am missing trail life so much right now. It's getting harder by the day. So this video, I was just going to go over a few things, some stats of my hike, a little bit of updates on some stuff. So the first thing I want to start with was saying that the elephant sanctuary that I've been raising money for, we are currently up to $3,275. Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. So the sanctuary fundraiser is going to the end of September, so you still have a whole month that you can donate if you would like. You haven't missed your chance, just letting you know. So if we can get that any higher, that would be awesome. And I did want to start off with my thank yous. So first, I want to thank every single person who donated to the Elephant Sanctuary. You guys are seriously my rock stars. I love you all. I want to thank everybody who watched my channel, and more importantly, I want to thank those who commented and left me such encouraging words. I looked forward to reading those comments every chance I had reception. It made my day. So that is a big thank you to you guys. I also wanted to thank everybody who donated, not just to the sanctuary, but who helped me with some virtual trail magic along the way. That was so appreciated. And of course, a big thank you to all the trail angels who helped me out. I would love to give a personalized thank you to every single person, but that list is so long. So just know I am thinking about you, and I'm so grateful because you made my journey what it is. So thank you to everyone. So let's get to some of the stats, right? So I don't know if you're gonna find this interesting or boring, feel free to fast forward. But so as far as what I slept in, I was on trail for 133 nights. So out of those 133 nights, I slept in 38 shelters, 13 hostels, 13 hotels or motels, 2 nights I spent at home, and 2 nights I spent in Trail Angels homes, and 65 nights I spent in my tents. That actually shocked me, to be honest. I slept in so many shelters in the beginning, all the way through the end of Virginia, that I thought I would have slept in more shelters than my tent. So I was actually surprised to see that when I added it up. Okay, I had 23 days that I experienced trail magic with food of some sort, whether it was somebody left a cooler at a road crossing or somebody had an elaborate setup and was barbecuing. I had 23 days. That's pretty impressive. I went through a total of 5 pairs of shoes. My first pair went way too long than I was supposed to. It went 625.4 miles. That's the result of my poor feet. The second pair, I only went 161.9 miles with them because I ended up switching out models. I went from the Ultra Superiors to the Ultra Olympus to get more cushion on the rocks and the roots. Best decision I made on my whole hike was to switch out those models. So my third pair of shoes, I actually cut them a little early at 362.1 because when I went home in Duncannon, Pennsylvania, I had a new pair of shoes waiting for me because I had heard the rocks will destroy your shoes in northern PA, so I wanted to have a brand new pair going into it. But my fourth pair of shoes lasted me 555.9 miles, so that's pretty impressive, and that was going through the rest of PA and continuing on. And my last pair lasted me to the end, 489 miles. So I think the Olympus really held out a lot longer than my Superiors did too, so I was happy with them. My average pace on trail, if you count the zeros in that total, I averaged 16.4 miles per day. If you take away the zeros, I averaged 17.3 miles per day. That was a lot more than I thought I was going to average, to be honest. In the earlier days, I was averaging, like 14, 15, and I kind of thought that's where I would finish at, but Yeah, well, you all know me if you've watched my videos. So 0 days though, I did take a total of 7. I took a double, so I took 2 zeros in a row in Newport, Tennessee. Those were on day 20 and 21. I took 1 0 in Parisburg, Virginia on day number 43. I took 2 zeros at home when I came back to get my braces adjusted. That was day 73 and 74. I took 1 0 in Hanover, New Hampshire on day 108, and 1 0 in Gorham, New Hampshire, which was day 116. So I tended to average around 30 days between zeros, except towards those 2 in New Hampshire. I wanted a rest before I went into the whites, and then I needed a rest when I came out of the whites. So total of 7 zeros. So my biggest miles, the 2 biggest days that I had was, my biggest one was 30.9 in Pennsylvania. And that's only counting what I did on the Appalachian Trail itself. No blue blazes, no side trails for shelters or water or whatever. And then also 30.0 miles was my second biggest day in Virginia, and same thing, only counts 18 miles. My lowest days were, my very lowest was 2.7 miles in New Hampshire and 2.9 miles in Virginia. And those were Neros when I went into town. I loved my Neros. So I also calculated out how many 20.0 mile days and above I did on my entire hike. Can you guess? I was out there for 134 days. I'll give you a minute. Guess how many how many 20 plus days I did. So I did 49. Felt like I did more than that, but when I was averaging it or looking at it, I did a lot of 19 point something mile days too, but I didn't count those in it. So there was that. My starting weight, for those who always ask, did I gain or lose weight on the trail? When I started this hike, I started at 116.6, and at the end of the hike, I was 122.5. So I gained. I am one of the oddballs who gained weight on trail, but I'm pretty positive it was muscle. So finances, I did not do, I mean, I tried to calculate out as best as I could. I did not keep track. I started to in the very beginning, but it just became such a pain in my butt to keep track of everything I spent on trail. So I went back into my accounts and I kind of just tallied things up. But there were a couple things that I had sent to my sister that was also purchasing things from home, you know, for home or whatnot. So some of this could be a little off, whether it's rounded up or down, but pretty much on the 4.4 months that I was on trail, I spent just under $5,300. And so that averaged out to about $39 per day or $1,200 per month. So and that includes the cost of everything from foods, the hotels and hostels, gear replacements, and God knows I had how many gear replacements because I kept losing things. Shuttles, all of it. The only thing that I did not include in there was my flight home from Pennsylvania to come home for my braces, because that's had nothing to do with the hike itself. So that was not included in there. And actually, I don't think, crap, I don't remember if I included the cost of the flight home. I may have, I don't remember, apologize. I should have wrote that down if I included that or not. But with inflation, they usually had said that you should typically expect to spend about $1,000 per month on the trail. And I spent approximately 1,200 months on trail. So the reason that you gotta have to look at it though is inflation. This year they have said that this is probably one of the most expensive years for thru hikers on trail because of how bad inflation was. So it's possible that if food hadn't gone sky high and shuttle prices hadn't increased and everything else hadn't increased, that I could have spent around $1,000 a month. So anyway, so those are the stats. If you do have any other questions about stats or anything like that, I am planning to do a live video probably sometime within the next week. So save your questions for that. If you, when I announce the video, if you are not going to be able to attend the live, no problem. Just on that post when I announce when it's going to be, just ask me whatever questions and then I'll write them down. So that way when I do go live, I can answer your question and you can watch it back later. Well, the other things I wanted to do was give you guys kind of an update. So as you guys know, I had many problems with things hurting on trail, and my feet were the biggest ones. So when I came home, I did go see my podiatrist, and we ended up having to get an MRI ordered, and I actually just went for my results this morning, and I was right. I do have a stress fracture. I'm in a boot probably for at least the next 4 weeks, unfortunately. But, so the results ended up saying that I do have a lot of fluid buildup and swelling in my foot and the stress fracture. And they did mention, or less likely, osteonecrosis, which he told me is basically when the blood supply is cut off to your bone, which would result in bone death. But like he said, that the results said it's less likely, even though they did see the bone in the image was darker than the other bones in the area. But in his words, he said, if you had dropped a paint can on your foot, then maybe I'd be more concerned. But more than likely, it's just the stress fracture. And then they also did see that they believe there's either scarring or reoccurring neuroma where I had that neuroma removed from my foot before. He thinks it's just the scarring. I would agree with him because I don't have any of that electrical shooting pain that I did when I had my neuroma before it was removed. So I think that's just it. So I actually hiked roughly 1,700 miles with a fractured foot. I refused to get it checked out because, like I had said in one of my videos before, who goes and gets their foot checked out, finds out they have a stress fracture, and then continues hiking on it? Because that would be stupid, right? But if you're not told you have a stress fracture, then, you know, you hike to Katahdin. So hopefully that heals quickly and I can get back out there and get to hiking. Because I do have a couple things planned. One for the end of September, just some mini little things, and I will be vlogging. So end of September and mid-October, I have a couple little mini adventures that I'm going to share with you guys, and I'm really excited. So my foot needs to be healed by then. Then the other thing I just wanted to mention, kind of anybody who's watching my videos because they're planning a future THRU hike, whether it's next year or further in the future. So I was rewatching my own videos. I'm starting from the beginning, and God, it seems like an eternity ago watching it from the start. And I'm just watching how after like 11, 12, 13 mile days, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. And thinking back, like, I was exhausted back then doing those low miles, and little did I know. But I got my trail legs, and so that's kind of something for future THRU hikers to remember, because the majority of hikers who quit in the beginning. And it's a shame because you eventually start getting your trail legs, you start getting stronger and more capable. And I mean, shoot, look, I did a couple 30-mile days. I mean, you don't have to, but usually your body starts adapting and you can go further and longer, and you feel so amazing. So don't give up when the trail is hard in the beginning, because it's going to be hard, especially if you go from being a couch potato to through hiking the AT. It's going to be difficult. And then you add in injuries and illnesses, and you're going to deal with a lot of different things on trail. I mean, look at me. I had severely sunburned hands, wound up with sun poisoning, blisters, had to have steroids and antibiotics. I was in so much pain early on through like smokies and that. I did end up finding out I do have plantar fasciitis in both feet, and that started when my first pair of shoes started wearing out on me. You know, I have the stress fracture that I hiked on for nearly 1,700 miles. I had toward the end my hands with the gripping problem, which, by the way, that still has not resolved itself. Every morning I still wake up with my hands in pain and trigger finger. So hoping that goes away soon, but it hasn't yet, so that's an update on that. But it kind of just goes to show you that you can do whatever you set your mind to, as long as you keep a positive outlook on everything and keep putting one foot in front of the other. I mean, I may have been in pain the majority of my hike, but I loved every second of it. I wouldn't change a thing I did. Honest to God, I wouldn't change a single thing I did. Even knowing now that I have a stress fracture, I still would have hiked the 1,700 miles because I wanted to be out there. It made me happy. I was loving life and wouldn't change a thing. So my long-winded speech here was just to say to THRU hikers, future THRU hikers, is don't give up. You got to stay mentally strong out there, and just remember to look at the little things around you, not just the overall picture if you want to get to Katahdin. Pay attention to the different plants and the flowers, especially the flowers in spring. There's so many of them. The smells, the birds. There's a really cool app called Merlin that the Skogman family, when I met them the second time in Cheshire, told me about. So I ended up downloading it. It was so cool. Every time you hear a bird, it's a free app. Just pull it up and just find out what bird it is. It was the coolest thing ever. Every time I heard a bird, I'm like, oh, I gotta find out what this is. And you know, check out all the little wildlife and the newts, guys. They're everywhere. So that's something that keeps things new and exciting on the trail and kind of help you take your mind off of you're tired, you're exhausted, you're in pain. The trail is a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I hope all future THRU hikers can enjoy every moment of it like I did. So I rambled a lot and went through a lot of different stats really quickly. So like I said, any questions, join me for my live. Like I said, it'll probably be within the next week. But until then, I will talk to you guys later.